Army General.
Shout out to Hate Army.
Your name is Hate Army? Saying Hate Army shit.
Hate Army shout out.
Good vibes to the Hate Army.
Shout out for hate.
I don't want to go too crazy here today. News. Our first story of today is regarding last year's release, which I skipped at the time. The name of the game is Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. This is a game made by Ubisoft that features the Rabbids from the Rayman franchise crossing over with Mario, and it is a turn-based strategy-style game, RPG, and it plays similar to XCOM, but it's a little bit easier than that. And I played the original one. There was one that was called Kingdom Battle. It came out in 2017, 2018, something like that. And that one, when it came out, was unique and interesting. It actually was an interesting game, especially for the earlier days of the Switch. And when I played it, I really enjoyed it. It had a lot of content. It had a lot of charm. But it was a very lengthy game. It took a lot of patience. It was very time-consuming. And quite frankly, it did drag on a lot. And as a game for a playthrough, a lot of people complained it was too long. And I specifically remember that the attention for that playthrough went from up here to like within like 2 weeks of me playing it because of the nature of the game that it was. Now, I did finish the whole game, but I remember by the end of the game, you know, a lot of people were skeptical about me ever playing a game like that again. So when the sequel came out last year, like 5 years later, a lot of people were like, well, will you play it? And I was like, I don't know. You know, the first playthrough didn't really work that well. It did all right, but a lot of people complained it was too long and didn't really, you know, it didn't really go with the kind of vibe that I do on my streams. So I held off. And if you remember, last year, the busy gaming season was so busy that you had to definitely pick and choose the games that you were going to play. There was no way that everyone could play everything. And if you remember, in a very short period of time, you had not only the Mario plus Rabbids game, but then you had Marvel Midnight Suns, which is exactly the same style of game, except it's with Marvel characters, right? So you had two of this style of RPG coming out within like a few weeks' time of each other, all at the same time as Call of Duty, at the same time as all the other high-profile releases. Were all releasing within like a 1 month window. So if you remember, I was very critical of this, and I said, I don't know what Ubisoft is thinking. Like, if this game came out at a different time of the year, like, if you remember, the original Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle did not come out during the fall gaming season. It actually had come out around, I want to say it was like, if anyone could look it up, but I distinctly remember it was like around late summer. So I had time to play it during the late summer, and I was trying to finish it when the new games were coming out in the fall. I think that was the timing it came out with. So at least then, by coming out at that time, you had more time to focus in on it, right? But it came out literally in the middle of the busy gaming season with all of the biggest game releases. What made you think people were going to play this game? Especially because of the style of game. This is not a mainstream Mario game. It's a spin-off game, right? And you can't just judge solely on the performance of the first one. The first one apparently sold pretty well. But again, it's a different climate 5 years ago. The Switch was new. People were buying every game for the Switch because they wanted to build up a library. It's very different, you know? So, why am I bringing all this up? Why am I talking about Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope? Well, because they interviewed Yves Guillemot. He is the CEO of Ubisoft. All right, we just saw him at Ubisoft Forward last week. And here's what he said. Listen to this. He feels that Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope released too soon. That they should have held out and released it for the company's next console. Here's some excerpts from his interview.
I think it was a different issue with Mario, he said. We already released a Mario Rabbids game on Switch. By doing another, we had two similar experiences on one machine. On Nintendo, games like this never die. There's 25 Mario games currently on the Switch already. Nintendo has advised it's better to do one iteration on each machine. We were just a bit too early. We should have waited for the next console. He then added, because you could play a great game and we think it will last for 10 years, we update it for the new machine that'll come in the future.
So basically it's broken English because it's translated from French. While there are exceptions such as the Mario Galaxy games on Wii, Nintendo generally does not release two entries in any one Mario series on the same console. So for example, it usually has one Mario Kart or one 3D Mario game per system. So according to the CEO of Ubisoft, the reason that Mario plus Rabbids the reason that Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, the sequel to Kingdom Battle, didn't do good or didn't sell well at all is because they put out two of the same franchise on the same console. They should have waited a few years for whatever the next new Nintendo console was and launched the new one on there. So I'm just going to, in general, what do you guys think about that comment? I'm curious. I want to field my audience's opinions on this before I give you mine. Do you guys agree with Mr. Gimmo that it was too soon for another Mario plus Rabbids game, that they shouldn't have released it on the Switch? Do you think this is the reason that the game failed? Red agrees. I should play it and see how it is, said Evil Land. I wish I had time. Eternal Napalm says, I 100% bet Super Mario Odyssey's sequel will launch on the next Switch, the next successor on the new console. Let's see. No, they should have released it when no games were coming, like in March or April, says Radical Jaws. Amplatory says, I just think the genre of game is not for a lot of people. Anso Kamaru says, no, the mainstream normie audience just doesn't care about games like that. Trigger agrees, Ansheng Forever agrees with Guillermo's comments. Okay? Expand Dong says the CEO is correct. Generally, this is how Nintendo operates outside of exceptions like Splatoon or Fire Emblem. Seems like they gave him advice and he refused to listen to it. Hobo X says, generally, I do disagree. However, I think that this tactical style of game, tactical RPG like XCOM, which this game is more niche, so maybe it's more true in this case. Gaspavelli says, yeah, I think Guillermo should have not had it released in 2022. All right. Here's the thing. All right. I see Nintendo's point. I absolutely do. I get it. Every time there's a new console, you'll launch a new iteration of your distinct, unique IP, and it'll sell for the new console. Super Mario Odyssey, Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Kirby, Smash Brothers. I keep going because there's probably like 40 different Nintendo IPs, right? This is not a Nintendo IP. This is a crossover, but still, it's essentially a Nintendo IP with the Mario involvement. Do I believe that if the new Mario plus Rabbids game had released at the launch of the next Nintendo console, that it would have sold well and or better? Absolutely, positively, yes. On that front, I absolutely agree with Mr. Guillemot. I do believe it would have done better. However, I'm sorry, I have to take a look at everything that I said last fall, and I have to say that these game companies, again, I say this all the time, have absolutely, positively, no self-awareness in the game space. They have this crazy tunnel vision where they actually believe that if they come out with a game that they feel is good, it will sell no matter what. This is absolutely, positively incorrect. Okay? During that busy game season of starting in September all the way through early December, all right? You're talking like a 3.5 month window, all right? Everyone tries to pump out their games during that time frame because, number one, it's just known as the busy gaming season, and they feel that it's going to inflate sales. And number two, they're trying to get in for the holiday gaming season where they feel people will buy these games and give them as gifts at Christmas. So they're trying to get in on those inflated sales there as well. Okay? But what's happening more and more and more in the last 5 years is that these games that are coming out during that season are failing. And the reason is because it's cannibalism. You cannot release 80% of the high-profile games in a year within a 3-month period. 80% within 1 quarter or 25% doesn't make sense. You need to space it out. You need to have time for these games to have word of mouth, to spread so that people know that they're good and that people will check them out, especially if it's a game like this. This is not Mario Odyssey. This is Mario plus Rabbids. It's a spin-off game. For people to know that it's good, they need to have time with it. What happened with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle was, you're right, it was a game in the early days of Switch, and people were looking for games on the Switch to play. It was a Mario game, and there was only a few of them at the time, and it came out at a time when there wasn't a lot of other competition. So without a lot of competition, people were able to play it, and the people who played it said, wow, it's good, and then the word of mouth spread on social media, and everyone knew it was good, and people ran out and bought it after the fact. When Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope came out, you already had a direct competitor with Marvel Midnight Suns in the same genre of game coming out within the same 1 or 2 weeks. In addition to that, you had all the high-profile games of the year coming out within that same month, including Call of Duty and other games. When that happens, your game becomes a drop in a bucket, and the market eats itself. You can't have gamers afford every game. And you have to understand that a game like this, that's not a mainstream Mario title, but a spin-off, needs to have air to breathe and have that word of mouth spread. There was literally no one talking about this game when it came out because everyone was abuzz with all the other bigger games. It was like a fart in the wind. It came out and it was just whoop, and no one even got to smell it. So, well, I guess that's good if you don't want to smell a fart, but you understand what I'm saying. No one had a time to even talk about it. And I said this at the time because people were asking me what I play. I was like, I'm too busy with the other bigger games, and maybe I would play it long term. You know, the reviews were great. People who actually took the time to review it said it was great, but the gamers didn't care. They were too busy with other bigger games. You know, you cannot release all of your games within 3 months. They have to stop with this bullshit. Earlier this year, from the months of February to May, we had a gaming drought. At most, we had one big game each month. So, you know, January it was Dead Space Remake. February it was Hogwarts Legacy. March it was Resident Evil 4 Remake, right? We keep going. Like each month there was one freaking game. That was it. So why on earth are they not releasing the games then? Or let's be very honest about the summertime. The summertime is the most ignored gaming season. And the stupidity of game developers and game companies that say, oh, in the summer, no one buys games. And no one buys games because you don't release them in the summer. You can't sell what's not available for sale. You understand? Look at the times when games have been available for sale in the summer, like Ghost of Tsushima. The game sold like hotcakes. The game was a huge sales success because there was no competition. So people went out and bought it in droves, and it was an amazing success story. So just fucking release games in the dead times and people will buy them. We don't need all your games within 3 months. And this is the CEO of Ubisoft. He's going to blame it on we released 2 of the same game franchise on the same console. It was a 5-year difference. It wasn't like you released it within a year. This is not annual installments of Madden or fucking Assassin's Creed. You waited 5 years, dude. The fact that he's saying this in an interview means that he doesn't even understand his own company. He doesn't understand gaming culture, and he doesn't even understand anything about what he's involved in as the head of. And he's in charge. So every time that we see an Assassin's Creed come out and the game sucks ass and it's too similar to the last game and it's completely off base of what people want, and you say, how in the holy hell could a game company be so out of touch with gamers to know what they would want to release this piece of shit? Take a look at Yves Guillemot. That's the answer.
Because you got an old white guy who's a corporate shill who knows nothing about fucking gaming in charge of a gaming company. And he makes mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, but he remains in charge. Why?
Why? Can someone give me an honest answer as to why he is in charge of the company? If you look at the track record of the last 10 years, you can find every year 2 to 3 awful stories about Ubisoft's failures and things they've done horrible. The culture of the company is toxic, and there's sexism and all kinds of horrible stuff. They're mistreating employees. They're doing the wrong things with their games. Why is he in charge? It's been over a decade. The fucker's still in charge. Then your company will never improve. You will continue to have Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope failures. Over and over, if you put a guy like him in charge, and then he doesn't understand, and he has scapegoating. Because that's all it is. It's scapegoating. Well, the scapegoat is we released it too early. No, the scapegoat is you're an idiot. You're in charge and you don't even understand gaming culture, and you think people are going to buy your game amidst all the other releases within 3 months. You're a moron. Your game is not a high-profile Mario game. It's a middle-of-the-road niche game. You need to release it at a time when it will get legs, when people will talk about it. If you thought people were going to talk about it in the middle of fucking November when they were playing all the other ones, you're a complete idiot, and you shouldn't be in charge of your company. I mean, damn, you're stupid. But he can't help it, because these people are rich, and they apparently have no consequences for any of their mistakes. Isn't it funny? If you and I had a job, right, where we were in charge of all of this, and we made a huge mistake, and it cost millions upon millions of dollars, and a giant project that was, budgeted and developed and was supposed to be a hit was a flop. Do you think you'd just be like, oh, well, pat on the back, you still did a good job, keep on going? Be out the door. This guy is insulated from all of that. What a great life, right? Just keep, you know what they call it? Failing up. The more fuck-ups you make, the higher you get, the better you are, right? It's like, I guess, again, I've been saying this for years, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Every time that we talk about him, he's fucking something else up, yet he's still in charge of Ubisoft. It's remarkable. I mean, Jesus Christ. All right, let's continue. Street Fighter 6 is a huge flop on Xbox consoles. The game has failed to chart even in the top 50 games of this month. Okay? Now, there's many things we can say about this. You know, when Street Fighter V was a PlayStation 5 and PC exclusive and didn't have an Xbox version, all the Xbox gamers screamed and yelled and were up in arms about that and were very upset, correct? It's true, because if you remember, Street Fighter 4 was cross-platform from launch. I played Street Fighter 4 mostly on Xbox 360 during its life cycle. I played a little bit on PS3, but I played mostly on Xbox 360. And then when Street Fighter 5 was only PS4, people were pretty pissed. So Street Fighter 6 is not selling at all on Xbox. Apparently, it's really low sales, okay? Now, you might say, well, why is this? Should we be shocked? And the answer is no. Do you want to know why? Here's your answer. Here's your direct answer why. It's not rocket science, but I guess we have to go full screen for it to sink in with some people. Street Fighter 6 is not selling on Xbox because the last iteration of Street Fighter that lasted 7+ years was not on Xbox. Therefore, now Xbox is not known as a fighting game console because the biggest fighting game wasn't on it. Is this... Wow, what an amazing revelation, but some people think that this is like a big news or something. Dude, for you to sell a fighting game on a console, the console needs to be known to have fighting games on it. Xbox was not. It was always, because these games were exclusive on PlayStation, people bought PS4, and an entire generation of gamers who are into fighting games only play games on PS4 or PC. So why on earth would they now all of a sudden convert to Xbox, right? Now, here's the thing, all right? Here's the thing. If Street Fighter 6 continues to do well, and Street Fighter 6 continues to get legs, and more people who are more casualized fighting game players, not the hardcore community playing competitively, but more casualized players now realize this game is good, they may actually buy it on Xbox. But it's not going to happen at launch. Why would it? People who wanted to play fighting games have PlayStation. Why would they have an Xbox? It doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're so shocked it didn't sell. Why? Are you stupid? No one plays fighting games on Xbox. It's, you know, take a look at the one fighting game that was exclusive to Xbox, Killer Instinct. It failed miserably. Why? Was it because it was a horrible game? No, it's because it was Xbox exclusive. And because of that, it killed the game. People don't want to play fighting games on Xbox because the biggest ones were not on it. So why in the holy hell are you surprised? You know, it blows my mind. Whoa, shocking. So here's the thing. Again, this is going to take a while now. It will. It's going to take a while. It might take the entire length of Street Fighter 6 for people to realize that fighting games are good on Xbox again. And then maybe people will start caring. But for now, it's going to be slow going. You can't expect that people are going to jump from PlayStation to Xbox overnight just because this one's on Xbox. Why would they? Right? It's just, that's crazy. It just doesn't make sense to me that people were shocked. So, there you go. But I definitely feel like there will be more. And by the way, another thing that should be said, of course, Street Fighter is a worldwide phenomenon, but it has a very ingrained player base in Japan. Japanese don't care about Xbox. Xbox barely sells in Japan. So right there, that's a market where there's no competition. Anyone who's playing it in Japan is playing on PlayStation or on PC. That entire market will not be playing on Xbox. So there you go. But if you're talking about in the US, which I think this story is catering to, that's why. People, who's sitting around with their Xbox Series X? I can't wait to play all the hottest fighting games. What? It wasn't, they weren't even on it last console gen. So why would you think, no one has that mindset. There you go. I do think Jay Kuma has a point. Even though it's a sad fact, I will admit I do believe this is correct. Jay Kuma just said the following in chat. A lot of people play on Xbox just for Game Pass now. If a game's not on Game Pass, it's not a sell for them. I have to agree with you. As sad as that fact is, because listen, I feel that Game Pass still to this day is the best value in gaming. You have that, what is it, $15 a month subscription? You're going to get games every month under Game Pass. I mean, hell, Starfield's coming up, right? You're going to get big high-profile games every month. New releases, indie games. You get a great library of older games. It's a very good value. Oh, by the way, you're getting Xbox Live as well, so you can play all the games online with no issue. But at the same time, I do feel like a lot of people have an Xbox just for the Game Pass deal. I agree with you. So, yeah. So it's not a shocking story. A lot of people are acting like it is. I don't know why. Speaking of Xbox, Xbox chief Phil Spencer says the Xbox business is twice the size of what it was during the Xbox 360 era. Millions of consoles are selling ahead of where we would have been compared to the Xbox 360. We've never had more Xbox players right now than we have right now. I mean, yeah. That's the funny part is when you think back to that console generation of Xbox 360 versus PS3. Xbox 360 was in the lead for a long time. It wasn't until the last maybe 2 years of that console generation that PS3 finally caught up and even eventually overtook Xbox. But for a long time there, Xbox was very dominant. And when you look at sales numbers today, and you're like, well, wait a minute. They were so dominant, but today it says that they've sold more Xboxes now than they did Xbox 360s. Yes. Why? Because you're talking, 15 years ago versus 2023. Times have changed. Gaming has grown absolutely exponentially in the last decade. Gaming has become massively mainstream. Why do you think we have mainstream gaming movies like Sonic the Hedgehog and the Super Mario Brothers now? Because gaming is mainstream and it has become major mainstream pop culture and everyone's doing it. Everyone has a major console. It used to be, all we have is the Wii in the house. Now everyone wants a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox. They want to have that more modern gaming console for more serious gaming experiences. It's not just about kiddie shit anymore. It's actually about everyone enjoying gaming at different levels. And every household is getting these consoles now. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny. Again, you would say, well, it's weird because I thought, back in the day, it was actually way more prominent with the Xbox 360. No, more people have Xboxes now. But by the way, Xbox is way behind. This console gen, Xbox is way behind PlayStation. PlayStation has like way oversold compared to Xbox. Okay. Arkham's Best is PS2 still the best-selling console. We saw the stats during one of the DSP versus the Internet episodes of the last couple of months, but I can't remember overall if it was the best-selling one or not. It slipped my mind.
These contributions are mandatory. Tipping me helps me more than anything.